Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, and today I'm going to talk about tarot burnout, and indeed even spiritual burnout, and how do we know that we're suffering from it. So it's quite interesting with tarot burnout. I'll discuss that firstly. And oh wow, I just realised how red my hair is. Hey, I actually just I just threw a toner through it because I didn't like had these, when the blonde got cut out and it kind of went this like caramel colour. So I thought I put a toner which was supposed to be like a deep burgundy, like a deep purple, which turned my hair red. Anyway, doesn't matter. So tarot burnout, how do we know when we suffer from it? So I think last year I hardly ever touched the tarot, and that was really due because of my going through breast cancer. And if I did grab a deck, like I said, it was the Shining Tribe Tarot, of which I've just got sitting right here. So, I was just using this deck, pulling a card a day on the app, except for when I went to the doctor. So, so this is the deck that I predominantly used last year, and I still do that now. I actually pull a card every day. Otherwise, I'd be taking... I'd be using oracle cards, I'd be using my angel decks, I'd be using how to be a wildflower, which I've got sitting, which I forgot to grab, but I think we all know what that looks like anyway. I have done a walkthrough of it. So I wasn't really interested in reading, and I think when you're going through health issues, well, that's just natural anyway. You just don't want to read. But what if it lasts longer? What if there's nothing whatsoever that's happening in your health or anything like that? You just sort of lost the urge to read the tarot. Well, this happened to me, but in a different way. I'm an avid reader. Like, I read every single day, like you wouldn't believe. I absolutely love to read, and I've been reading since the day I got taught how to read. So, I'm constantly reading. Not a day go by. But when I really got very, very badly depressed, that's one of the first things that I gave up. And indeed, I don't think I read for a good 2 years. I didn't touch a book, which was amazing for me, because I'm always reading. So that's, one sign is when you just don't feel like reading. And sometimes you just haven't got any subject matters to read on. So, the daily card gets boring, or the daily reading, whether you pull it in the morning or whether you pull it at night. When I used to do that, I used to pull it at night. It would be much easier, because I find particularly if you're new to tarot, if you're starting daily readings in the morning, you sort of try and fit in the day. You've got that sort of card consciously in your mind, and you try to fit that into the day. Whereas if you pull it at night, you can sort of look at the card more objectively and see where shut the window, because hopefully so many trucks won't go past us. We've got building that's going on across the road behind. They're sort of clearing all the land now, but it's so humid today. So, and when you don't work, so I haven't worked for the last 6 years, mainly because, as you know, I wear hearing aids in each ear. And I just couldn't, once people found out that that you're deaf, they don't want to, they don't want to employ you, and my age is against me, and then of course I got cancer last year, so there isn't a hope in hell that I'm going to get another job. And so when you're home every single day, and your day is pretty much the same every single day, and you just don't find that you feel like reading, because there's nothing to read about. It's no use pulling a daily card, whether it be in the morning or at night, because nothing happens. Everything runs into the same. The same things happen every day. I get up with my husband, make our breakfast, have our coffee together, get him off to work, go for a walk, or do my weights, feed the cats, catch up on YouTube while I'm having my coffee, read, clean the house a bit. Mondays is usually my house cleaning day. I usually clean the house top to toe on a Monday. So my days run pretty much in the same. I haven't got kids to look after anymore. We haven't had kids living with us for 6 years now. So, I don't have to worry about kids or anything like that. So my days are very, very much the same every single day. So tarot burnout is something that, I have to sort of really push myself to use the tarot. And I've been thinking about different ways of how I can incorporate, because I do love the tarot and I do read professionally. So besides getting, readings that I read for professionally, I never really read for myself at all. So how do you cope with tarot burnout? You can just stop cold, can just stop trying to force yourself to do tarot readings. Just, don't worry about daily readings. Once I stopped doing daily, I can't remember the last time. It'll be years and years now since I've pulled cards for the day. I just don't do it, and I haven't done it for many, many years. And once I got that, because it started to feel like a chore, and once I stopped doing it, it was absolutely fantastic. You have to stop forcing yourself. If is that what I'm trying to say? It's like a pressure. It becomes like a chore to do a daily reading. And once I stopped that chore, once I stopped doing daily readings, it was really, really good. I found like I was only reaching for the tarot when I really, really felt like it. And if I was reaching, I might do like an energy for the day, or, something of that nature. But another way, I suppose, to stop, besides just giving it up altogether, and just don't force, give yourself a break. It might be a few months, it might be a year, it might be a couple of years. Some people I've heard, a lot of people, they take off, just stop reading tarot altogether for quite a few years, and then their interest pikes again. So you can do that as well. But one way I have found is finding different ways to work with the tarot. So what I've done now is I'm actually doing I always forget the name of the book because it's on my Kindle. I'll see if I can find it on here. I think it's Ancestral Tarot is what the book is called. Let's see if I can find it on my Amazon list. I think that's what it is, Ancestral Tarot. And let's have a look. Get off there. Why does it always come up when you're trying to... Ancestral... Yeah, it is Ancestral Tarot. That's what I'm doing. That's right. So uncover your past and chart your future. So it's basically, working with your ancestors and working through a book. So that's one way that I've piqued my interest, is I'm actually doing that. I'm actually got a journal for the first time in my life, because I've never journaled with tarot. So think of different ways of working with the tarot. So for me, I'm going to be working through this book, but because mine's on Kindle, and I don't know if that will show up on the actual... I wonder if I can make that bigger, that picture. I don't think... Oh, yeah, I can. Oops, sorry. No, that's... Oh, I don't want to do that. I'll go back. See if I can do it bigger. No, I don't think it's going to... What is it? Oh, there we go. So that's the book that I'm working with. Hopefully you can see that, Ancestral Tarot. So that's the one that I'm working through. So that's one way that you can overcome tarot burnout, is think of different ways to use it with. Work through, this is the first time I've ever done that. I have never ever worked through a book with tarot. In all 30 years that I've been reading, I just never ever used books unless, until I was... When I first started tarot, and then, manically read every single book and look up all the different meanings that you can. I think I'm going to shut the window because now the dogs are barking, so just bear with me. Okay, that's better, because it's quite noisy at the front street with them dogs. I feel sorry for them dogs, but anyway, that's another story. So they never get walked, basically. That's why they bark, because they're bored. So, so that's something new for me. I've never worked, except for when I first was learning how to read the tarot, and you're looking up all the meanings and so forth. So this is the first time I'm actually working through a book. I know Nina does it a lot from Shuffle Tarot. She works a lot through books. So, but this is the first one that's kind of piqued my interest about working with the ancestors. There's things that have come up between my brother and I. When we talk about our parents, there's a big age difference between my brother and I. So there's 10 years between my brother and I. So both our parents are 91, and my mum is having to go in a home. So we've been actually talking a lot about our childhood and things like that. And things have come up that's really made me think. And when I come across this book, I thought, I'm going to actually work through it. I'm going to actually see what's going on. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm actually working with this book. So that's another way to overcome tarot burnout, is just to do things differently. So for me, it's working through a book and journaling. I've never done it before. When it comes to spiritual burnout, is probably a lot more, not serious, but it's probably a lot more, makes you worry a lot more, I suppose, is what I'm saying. So when I met Aaron, so we've been married 18 years this year, was our 18th wedding anniversary. So before I met him, I was very heavily into the witchcraft side of me, very, very heavy into witchcraft. But then when I met him, when I talk about it, I was very heavily into doing spells and rituals and all sorts of things like that. But when I met him, I felt like that all my all my prayers have been answered. Basically, he just changed my whole life in ways that I couldn't even to describe. He's just been fantastic. So I let that side of me slide. And I'm talking big time. I didn't really do anything. I mean, I always felt connected to the goddess. Always have, always will. And I often talk to her. But as far as spell work, rituals, even having an altar, I even packed away my altar. I didn't do any of it. And then just before I knew I was sick, it started to call to me big time, really big time. I really wanted to get back into it. So, I set up my altar again, and I don't really do much spell. I don't do much spell work. I don't really find the need for it. Mainly if I do something, it's to light a candle for someone who passed away in tragic circumstances, or healing for the Ukraine, which I haven't done yet, but I've prayed for it. So, I do things of that work. So my spirituality, while along the same path, although I class myself more as a pagan now, it's changed completely because it's more focuses on healing now, because I felt like when I met Aaron that if I did spells that I was being greedy because all my wishes had been answered, everything. So I didn't feel like I could do spell work anymore, when in reality that's not really true. Of course I can, but now I focus more on the healing. And I didn't do any healing on myself other than inviting the gods to heal me and my angels and guides. That's the only type of healing work I did for myself. I didn't actually do spells or anything like that. I do have a crystal grid next to my bed with a sigil that I invite, I programmed it to heal me while I'm sleeping. So that's the only type of healing stuff I do. So my spirituality has changed. So from not doing anything for nearly 18 years, except for the odd bits and pieces, it's really, really, I put offerings on my altar now every week, often light incense. I have cards on there, which I haven't done for a while either. I don't force myself. If I don't feel like doing anything, I don't do it. So that's another big change as well. I think the biggest change when it comes to burnout is you feeling like you've got to force yourself to do that. You've got to force yourself to, if you're into casting circles, to cast a circle, call in the quarters, do work. It becomes like a chore instead of something that you enjoy. So I suppose the biggest message is, if something that you love, when it comes to tarot, oracle, runes, whatever, if it becomes a chore now, well then it's probably time to just stop it for a bit, or find other ways to do things so you get that magic back into your life. I think that's what I'm trying to say the most. So burnout, tarot burnout and spiritual burnout can be a really, really hard thing to deal with. And it's a long time, like I said, just besides doing the odd bits and pieces, I didn't really practice for sort of 18 years. It's only kind of the last, a lot last year, but I'll probably honestly say, so not really 18 years, is it? So probably the last 3 years I've been really called strongly to get back into it, and I've been really enjoying it and finding different ways to do things as well. I think that's the biggest thing, is finding different ways to do things that you once enjoyed, and now you're finding that, I can't really be bothered type of an effort. So so that's my take on a little bit of burnout. So what are your feelings on this? How do you cope with burnout, whether it be tarot, spiritual, or even work, burning out at work and really knowing that you need to change things? But how do you go about it? It's really hard when it comes to your career, I'd say, because most of us aren't in the position that they can change career, or they've lost their job through COVIDs or illness or anything like that. So there's really nothing much you can do. So how do you cope even with a job that you don't like? I'd really be interested to hear your thoughts on this. Until next time, take care.